son. They show no love for the queen. Why you hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans? I got dreams like King Luther, shed blood like Kunsa. You ain't helping my people, I ain't got nothing to say to ya. I want all the smoke like hookah. Talking reparations. America won't be great until they give us compensation. I'm like, I'm the hottest right now. See a bunch of lames out here trying to jock on my style. They be doing too much. I'm the queen, it's too easy. It's like they all in Popeyes, how they be talking so greasy. I just sit back and laugh while these haters get mad. So nefarious how they don't want my pockets with cheddar. I tell them they can do better. These snakes in the grass can leave a bite on your ass, cause y'all be trusting too fast. I got my foot on the gas, other one on they necks. Dropping receipts on haters, you better show some respect. I'm never facing regrets, we only facing the threat.
This is the sound of Eric Malcolm.
It's a cut on the gas, other one on they necks. Dropping receipts on haters, you better show some respect. I'm never facing regrets, we only facing the threat. Running through every challenge like a relay, break no sweat. It's a cold game, so I got that blanket with me. Now that my people awaken, ain't no going to sleep. I do not play by my piece, this time I'm playing for keeps. You talking slick, but when I see you like them ends, we gon' meet. And I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine, you son. They show no love for the queen. Why they hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans and I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine, you son. They show no love for the queen. Why they hating on me?
All right. Hello, everyone. Thanks for tuning back in once again to the original Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur show. I'm your host, Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur, and this is your daily vitamins. So as you're coming in, please feel free to go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Be sure to click that notification bell and click the word all so you're notified each time the Queen Goddess goes live. Okay, so let's get ready to get into it. All right, DJ Big Six is in the house. Bronze Flat Power God. All right, Vince, I am from the UK. Juju is in the house. All right, let's get into it. G from the land. Leon is here. Pearly. Okay, we the people. All right, Mel is in the house. Shout out to all of my loyal royals and everyone tuned into the Queen. Let's get this party started. And a big shout out to my moderators because y'all know they put in work. I see you there, Crazy Beach Aries. Okay, so before we get started, hey, Claudette, Panther Strike is in the house. Before we get started, let's have a brief word from my sponsor at 12 Tribes.
Do not buy 12 Tribes on Earth hair growth oil and hair magic elixir unless you want super healthy, gorgeous hair that grows. They have a whole line of amazing hair growth products, including hair growth leave-in conditioner spray, hair growth shampoo, hair growth spray, and hair growth butter. I'm starting to sense a theme here. They include quality natural ingredients. They smell amazing, and you can see the results for yourself. So if you're looking for healthy hair growth for your natural or relaxed hair, try 12 Tribes on Earth today.
Okay, so don't forget you can purchase 12 Tribes hair oil at Etsy.com. Just look for Lisa Crafts. You can also find it at Walmart.com. And don't forget that she also has a great beard oil for the men. Okay, so let's get into it, honey, because what is Trump doing? Does anybody know? Can anyone guess? What in the hell does Trump have going on? Putin is playing him like a tune, okay? He's playing him like a fiddle. And then Trump is passing the game on to Zelensky, sadly. So let's get into it. Now, before we get into that, let's talk about Epstein, because you know they got Bill Barr to testify, okay, about Epstein. And sadly, as we should have expected, he didn't say anything about Trump. In fact, he said he couldn't find anything about Trump. So let's get into it. Likes up, everyone, please like and share.
This morning, Donald Trump's former Attorney General Bill Barr is under oath on Capitol Hill, answering questions about convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein, his crimes, his closely held files, and his mysterious jailhouse death that prompted years of conspiracy theories. Barr, who served as Attorney General at the time of Epstein's death and initially had his own suspicions before an FBI and DOJ investigation, was subpoenaed by the House Oversight Committee. In standard form, Barr's deposition is being taken privately behind closed doors. But he's just one of several high-profile depositions on the docket, among them former President Bill Clinton and former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, who were called to come testify for the committee. No word on if that will actually happen. But joining us now from Capitol Hill, NBC News senior national political reporter Sahil Kapoor. Sahil, Barr personally investigated Epstein's death while he served as AG during Trump's first term. He launched an investigation at the time and said while he initially had his own suspicions, all it uncovered was, quote, a perfect storm of screw-ups at the jail. So what kind of information is the committee seeking from him today?
Yeah, that's right, Ali. This is the first of many depositions that the Oversight Committee and its chair, James Comer, have demanded in the Epstein probe. That William Barr interview was scheduled for 9:30 a.m., but the pool camera spotted him walking in a little bit early. He is interesting to the committee because of exactly what you mentioned. He was AG during the first Trump administration when Jeffrey Epstein was found dead in his jail cell 6 years ago. At the time, Barr said he was appalled by what he called the apparent suicide and said there were serious questions about the circumstances of that death. One obvious one that people are still scratching their heads over is why in the world was this man left alone for even a minute, unmonitored, when he was awaiting trial on extremely serious charges and would be at a high risk of harming or even killing himself. That said, it's not clear this committee is going to learn much, if anything, from Barr today. This subpoena was just the appetizer. The main course is tomorrow, the subpoena for the Justice Department and current AG Pam Bondi to turn over a slew of files relating to the crimes, the various prosecutions, and the death of Jeffrey Epstein, including internal communications. Now, Chairman Comer, the Kentucky Republican, was asked about this moments ago, whether he expects the DOJ to actually meet that deadline. He downplayed this a little bit, saying only that they're having really good conversations, that there are many documents at play, and that, quote, I think we'll receive the documents very soon, end quote. That is the real issue here, the Trump administration's reluctance to release those files that sparked the frenzy on Capitol Hill.
This morning, Donald Trump's former Attorney General Bill Barr is under oath on
Yes, I am, sis. Can't they just release the list and leave Epstein to continue unresting in no peace, please? Mel said it's all a cover-up. Of course, it absolutely is. And so here's the thing. I find it so interesting that the first person they called to testify is Bill Barr. Are you kidding me? For what? Okay, that's not going to yield any, fruitful benefits, and they know it. Why didn't they have Alex Acosta to testify? Now, Alex Acosta was appointed in Trump's first term in office, and he's the same fool who gave Jeffrey Epstein the sweetheart deal. Okay? You know, the one where he did 13 months and then he got to leave jail for 12 hours every single day to go sit in his cushy office like he was actually doing work. He was probably doing God knows what, okay? This is all crazy. Yes, he's Team Trump. Absolutely, Mel. Anyway, let's continue. Likes up, everyone, please. Don't forget to like and share.
What did the committee learn? Nicole Killian joins me now for answers to that. Nicole, great to see you. So, what did he say? If it's knowable, or more knowable, probably, is the various members' reaction to whatever he said.
Yeah, absolutely. And as anything with Congress, as it pertains to Congress, I should
Opinions
say.
differ.
Exactly, depending on parties. So obviously the chairman, James Comer, said that they did learn quite a bit today from the Attorney General. Democrats, on the other hand, felt, hey, we didn't learn more than things that we've already read in the press, right? That being said, we did hear a little bit from Bill Barr himself. He didn't really take questions, but did say a couple of words acknowledging that this was a good conversation, and also standing by this ruling that he and others made at the time of Jeffrey Epstein's death, that he does stand by the fact that he still believes that it was a suicide. Take a listen to what lawmakers thought of his deposition today.
I don't think we're learning much from the questioning from the House Republicans. It doesn't seem like this is something where they are truly caring about the victims and about trying to get to the bottom of what's happening. Whereas on the Democratic side, we are asking the tough questions and trying to get some answers.
The Democrats' goal is to try to dig up some type of dirt on President Trump. And what Attorney General Barr testified in there was that he never had conversations with President Trump pertaining to a client list. He didn't know anything about a client list.
So again, as you heard the chairman, there.
First of all, nobody has to dig up dirt on Trump. Okay, there's dirt everywhere, all around him. Nobody has to go and dig it up, please.
Or say, you know, he feels the Democrats are politicizing this issue. Nonetheless, though, he did acknowledge that the Attorney General, former Attorney General, answered all of the committee's questions. And keep in mind that Bill Barr is really the first of several witnesses that this panel is expected to call over the next couple of weeks, including a host of former Attorney Generals. We're going to hear from Alberto Gonzalez. You know, they have called Eric Holder, Merrick Garland, among others, also the former FBI directors, James Comey, Robert Mueller, in addition to the Clinton. So all of these depositions, they're expecting to take place, obviously behind closed doors, over the next several weeks.
And just before you came in, a few moments before you came in, Nicole, I saw an email from the Oversight Committee saying the Department of Justice is in the process of responding to a subpoena for underlying documents in its possession.
Yeah, that's right. Because keep in mind, the panel had also issued a subpoena not only to some of those individuals that I just named, but also to the Department of Justice as well, to again push on the department to publicly release the rest of the Epstein files. We know that the administration has kind of started that process, but obviously there has been a huge clamoring on Capitol Hill for these full files to be declassified. So tomorrow is actually the deadline for the Department of Justice to respond. The committee acknowledged they didn't expect the department to meet that deadline, which is why we're seeing that statement late today acknowledging, yes, the agency is cooperating, but we may not get everything we need by that deadline.
Nicole Killian, thank you.
All just a load of BS. That's all it is, just a whole load of BS. Okay, now with that all being said, let's talk about Trump's meeting with Zelensky. Because while they were having this meeting, or actually before they had the meeting, Putin was dropping bombs, okay, sending airstrikes. And then after the meeting for talks of peace with Trump and Zelensky, Putin launched one of the biggest airstrikes in months. Does it sound like Putin wants peace? Does it sound like he wants peace? It sounds like Putin is doing what he wants to do and just playing Trump like a whole fiddle. And Zelensky, I don't even know why he thinks, if he does, because it seems like he does think he can trust Trump, but I don't know why. Because remember, he's always talking about Putin, that he can't trust Putin, and that Putin's not going to keep his word. Well, he sure isn't. The thing is, I don't think Putin's going to give his word. Putin just keeps it real. But Trump definitely is not going to keep his word. So he shouldn't be trusting Trump. That's who he needs to be more concerned about, okay, if you ask me.
Donald Trump says that he has spoken with Vladimir Putin about the next steps in his efforts to end the war in Ukraine, and he's hoping to arrange a meeting between the Russian and Ukrainian presidents. Well, the Kremlin has now confirmed a 40-minute phone call between Trump and Putin, during which both leaders discussed the possibility of continuing direct talks. But
let me just tell you all something. Trump's sitting here talking about trying to get a meeting with Putin and Zelensky. Putin doesn't give a darn about Zelensky, doesn't like him, doesn't want to sit down and talk to him. He just doesn't want to do it. So good luck with that, Trump. We'll see where it goes.
Between Russia and Ukraine. So far, no date or location has been set for a potential meeting between Presidents Putin and Zelensky, but French President Emmanuel Macron has suggested the talks take place in Switzerland with the involvement of European leaders. Well, all this follows talks at the White House on Monday between President Trump, President Zelensky, and key European leaders. Those talks included discussions on future security guarantees for Ukraine, with possible US involvement if a peace deal is reached. President Zelensky said that he's ready to meet President Putin, but stressed that Ukraine must have protections in place once the war ends. We're posting on social media. Here's what President Trump said about security guarantees for Ukraine. Guarantees would be provided by the various European countries with a coordination from the USA. At the conclusion of the meetings, President Trump said that he called President Putin and began the arrangements for a meeting at a location to be determined between President Putin and President Zelensky. After that meeting takes place, we'll have a trilat, which would be the two presidents plus myself. So we'll have analysis from our correspondents around the world. But first, this report from Arunade Mukherjee in Washington.
Together and navigating a complex path to peace in what was a day of extraordinary diplomacy at the White House. All smiles amidst an air of positivity. A marked change from President Zelensky's last visit 6 months ago, which ended in a heated exchange.
Thank you so much, Mr. President. If I can, first of all, thank you for the invitation and thank you very much for your efforts, personal efforts to stop killings and stop this war. Thank you.
Loads of thanks and some light humor over the Ukrainian leader's suit this time, given how he had chosen that over the usual fatigues after being criticized last time.
President Zelensky, you look fabulous in that suit.
I said the same thing.
Yeah, you look good.
I said the same thing.
Yeah, looks good.
I said to the one that attacked you last time. See, now he's
I remember that.
Yeah, I apologize to you. You look wonderful.
As the European leaders joined in, President Zelensky hailed the talks to be the best conversation yet with Donald Trump. Europe and the UK will be key to any NATO-style agreement that they would all rally to defend Ukraine in the future. Conversations largely centered on what security guarantees Ukraine would be given and the level of US's involvement.
There's going to be a lot of help. It's going to be good. They are first line of defense because they're there. They're Europe. But we're going to help them out also. We'll be involved.
But later on, in a post on Truth Social, Mr. Trump's offer for help was explained as, quote, coordination from the US, making the exact same nature of help from the US still unclear.
What shall we do when the war is over? Protection after the end of the war. It is very important that the United States of America is sending the signal that they will be among those countries who will help and who will coordinate, and that they'll be participating in the security guarantees for Ukraine, which is a huge step forward.
President Trump says he is now working to arrange a bilateral meeting between the two countries at war and then a possible trilateral meeting after that with him present. Speaking to the BBC after the talks, UK Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer said he was pleased with the outcomes of yesterday's meetings.
So a real breakthrough on security guarantees. This is something that's been needed for a long time, very important for security back in the United Kingdom as well as across wider Europe. And then secondly, moving on with the bilateral meeting and then trilateral meeting between the presidents and the second one including President Trump. That is in order to try to get to an outcome, a peace that is lasting and that is just.
As President Trump tries to project himself as the leader who is trying to get peace deals done around the world, that remained the crux of the conversations all through yesterday, with European leaders complimenting his efforts in trying to resolve the conflict.
Are they serious right now? They really think Trump's trying to resolve anything? Let me tell y'all something. This is all just a hot mess. Okay, I want you all to pay attention because right after that meeting that Trump had supposed peace talks, this is what happened next.
Tonight, live on the ground in Kharkiv. Good evening, Richard.
Good evening. There were multiple Russian attacks across Ukraine today, and the air raid sirens here in Kharkiv are continuing into the night, which is a main reason why many Ukrainians don't agree with President Trump that there is no need for a ceasefire.
Y'all hear this? Do y'all hear this? Mally says, LOL, I believe these Epstein files are going to be just as accurate as many wars Trump stopped without ceasefire. Exactly. Trump's not doing anything, okay, but making a mess. And thank you for being a member, beloved, for 6 months and also for your insight into the topic. Listen, Trump sat there and was talking big trash, okay, saying that if there wasn't a ceasefire, you know, that he was going to be very upset. But then gets there in the meeting and says right to Zelensky's face, you know, they need to fight. They have to fight, but hopefully there'll be peace. That's what he said.
Across Ukraine, Russia launched what seemed like indiscriminate attacks against civilians and vital infrastructure, targeting the power grid in the south, a university in the north, shops and residences in central Ukraine, and out east in Kharkiv. We arrived at an apartment building shortly after it was pummeled by Russian drones. President Putin says Russia never attacks civilian targets in Ukraine, but survivors tell us this building, clearly full of families, was hit by a barrage of Russian drones, each exploding 30 seconds apart, suggesting it was deliberately targeted. And even as they are still looking for survivors here, the air raid sirens have gone off once again, meaning that a Russian attack is possibly inbound right now. Alexander told me he, his wife, and 5-year-old son were sleeping when the drone struck before sunrise, causing a gas leak and fire. They barely escaped alive. Considering what just happened to you and your family, what do you think about the talks today between President Trump and President Zelensky to reach some sort of peace agreement with Russia? I just wish it could end sooner, he says, because of things like this. 7 people were killed here, 18 injured, including me. I just want it all to end as quickly as possible. One body was wrapped in blankets amid the debris. Among the dead was a 1.5-year-old girl, her grandmother, and parents, with an entire family wiped out in an attack we happened to witness. It's little surprise Ukrainians want a peace deal, security guarantees, and a ceasefire. Richard Engel, NBC News.
We thank you.
Funny thing is, they'll show that and they'll talk trash about Putin for being so inhumane or so nefarious, but they don't have that same energy for Benjamin Netanyahu. Please pay attention. Okay, so anyway, let's get into it. So Ukraine's Air Force reported a major Russian attack on Monday night and into Tuesday morning, the largest overnight barrage for weeks, coming while Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky met with President Donald Trump and a delegation of European leaders in Washington. The Air Force said Russia launched 270 drones and 10 missiles into Ukraine, of which 30 drones and 6 missiles were intercepted or suppressed. The Air Force reported the impacts of 40 drones and 4 missiles across 16 locations, with debris reportedly falling in 3 locations. Ukraine's energy ministry said energy infrastructure in the central Poltava region was a focus of the strikes, saying that as a result of the attack, large-scale fires broke out. Now, oil refining and gas facilities were also attacked, and they described the strikes as the latest in a campaign of systematic terrorist attacks against Ukraine's energy infrastructure, which is a direct violation of international humanitarian law. Monday night's attack was the largest attack since Russia launched 309 drones and 8 missiles in Ukraine on July the 31st. Now, Russia's defense ministry, meanwhile, said its forces shot down 23 Ukrainian drones overnight into Tuesday morning. 13 of the craft were downed over the Volgograd region, according to the ministry. And they say that regional governor Andrei Bokharov said on Telegram that falling debris set fires at an oil refinery and on the roof of a hospital building, although they added there were no casualties. Now, the overnight exchanges bookended a day of high-level talks in Washington. Trump and Zelensky and a host of European leaders met in the Capitol on Monday to discuss a possible roadmap to end Russia's full-scale invasion, which began in February of 2022. Zelensky on Tuesday described the meeting as truly a significant step toward ending the war. Well, they didn't tell Putin that. Now, he didn't get the memo clearly. So Monday's summit followed a meeting between Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin in Alaska on Friday, during which Putin refused an immediate ceasefire and then demanded that Ukraine cede the entirety of its eastern Donetsk region in exchange for an end to the fighting. So ahead of Monday's meetings, Trump appeared to be pressuring Zelensky into making a deal, saying President Zelensky of Ukraine can end the war with Russia almost immediately if he wants to, or he can continue to fight. Now, the president also said Ukraine would not be allowed to join NATO and would not be able to regain Crimea, occupied by Russia since 2014. Now, such remarks raise concerns of another fractious Oval Office meeting, akin to Zelensky's February visit when the Ukrainian leader was publicly lambasted by not lambasted by Trump and Vice President J.D. Vance for his alleged ingratitude for American wartime support. Y'all remember how they went in on him and didn't even feed the man lunch, just kicked him right on out. I don't know why he came back, because I wouldn't have, but let me continue. But Monday's meetings were cordial, though the parties still appeared to be some way apart on key issues. Trump, Zelensky, and European leaders all confirmed their support for a direct bilateral meeting between Zelensky and Putin, a proposal the Russian president has repeatedly dodged. I told y'all, Putin doesn't want to sit down and have a talk to that man. He can't stand him. He doesn't even want to look at him face to face. Okay? Now, such a meeting would be followed by a trilateral meeting involving Trump. Zelensky said Ukraine is ready for a trilateral discussion. Trump remarked, saying, "I think it's going to be when, not if." So then later, Trump posted to social media saying he had spoken by phone with Putin and began the arrangements for a meeting at a location to be determined between President Putin and President Zelensky. Now, the Kremlin is yet to explicitly confirm Putin's readiness to attend such a meeting. Yuri Yushakov, a top Kremlin aide, said in a statement that Trump and Putin expressed their support for the continuation of direct negotiations between the Russians and the Ukrainian delegations, saying in this regard, in particular, the idea was discussed that the level of representatives from the Ukrainian and Russian sides should be increased. This is what Yushakov said. This refers to the representatives who participate in the aforementioned direct negotiations. Now, on the question of security guarantees for Ukraine, Trump said during his meeting with Zelensky, he said, "We're going to be discussing it today, but we will give them very good protection, very good security." Now, the president later confirmed that Putin would accept security guarantees for Ukraine, although Russian officials on Monday said the presence of NATO troops in the country were unacceptable. Say they would be unacceptable. So Zelensky and his European partners again stressed their desire for a full ceasefire, only after which peace negotiations could take place. Trump has repeatedly demanded a ceasefire since returning to office in January, but appeared to drop the idea after last week's meeting with Putin, because Putin told him it ain't happening. That's what that was. Okay, I guarantee you. Now, he says, "I don't think you need a ceasefire." This is what Trump told Zelensky. Now, listen to this. This is what Trump told Zelensky in the Oval Office. Backpedaling. "I don't think you need a ceasefire. I know that it might be good to have, but I can also understand strategically, well, one country or the other wouldn't want it." And so Trump added that he likes the concept of a ceasefire for one reason, because you'd stop killing people immediately. Zelensky expressed his gratitude to Trump for hosting the meeting and wrote on Telegram afterwards, thanking the White House for the important signal from the USA regarding readiness to support and be a part of post-war security guarantees, saying that the leaders personally came to support Ukraine and discuss everything that will bring us closer to real peace, a reliable security architecture that will protect Ukraine and all of Europe. That's what Zelensky wrote. Post-meeting comments from European leaders, though, hinted at unresolved obstacles to peace, saying you have an American president, European presidents, and a Ukrainian president all wanting peace. This is what French President Emmanuel Macron said. He says, "For my part, I have the greatest doubts about the reality of a desire for peace on the part of the Russian president, because as long as he thinks that he can win through war, he will do so. His ultimate objective is to take as much territory as possible, to weaken Ukraine, and to have a Ukraine that is not viable alone or within its Russian fold." German Chancellor Friedrich Merz said that the thorny issue of the Ukrainian territorial concessions was not discussed, saying that the Russian demand that Kyiv give up the free parts of Donbass is, to put it in perspective, equivalent to the U.S. having to give up Florida, he said. A sovereign state cannot simply decide something like that. It is a decision that Ukraine must make itself in the course of the negotiations. Ooh, honey, this is all a hot mess. Okay, Putin is just not really willing to have peace. Okay, and from the sounds of it, from the looks of it. Now, with that all been said, mind you, Trump was caught on a hot mic. Okay, he's always getting caught on these hot mics. I don't know why he isn't more careful about how he's talking with his silly self. This is y'all's president. Okay, y'all voted for him. Press. Let's go to the footage. He's always getting caught either saying something stupid.
I'm always hot.
Sleep Number does that.
Likes up, everyone, please. Don't forget to like and share. Thank you in advance, beloveds. Okay, here we go.
Only at Sleep Number.
Jeff Zeleny, I want you and our viewers to listen to something that the President Trump, didn't intend to be public, but his mic was hot. This was as he and the other European leaders were sitting down to the meeting, and he was talking about Vladimir Putin and what Trump believes Putin will do for him personally.
I think he wants to make a deal. I think he wants to make a deal for me. You understand that, as crazy as it sounds?
Jeff?
A couple of key words in there are for me. I think he wants to make a deal for me. I mean, it's not altogether surprising that President Trump thinks this. Whenever there's a hot mic moment, we're always slightly more interested than when it's something that he would have just said. It's not actually all that dissimilar from things he said throughout the campaign. But what's different about it now is the whole comment there, wants to make a deal for me. That was at the root of President Trump's entire argument that I can end this on day one, that his relationship with President Putin was so strong from that first term. They were stablemates, as he once said on 60 Minutes, of which there was no evidence of. But this is just kind of the latest version of it. There's been zero evidence that President Putin is using his relationship with Donald Trump to do anything for Trump, to end it for Trump. So I think it was just a window into President Trump's mindset there, and perhaps not that surprising, but
I mean,
revealing.
It is.
Could you please?
Sorry, I forgot I was muted. So as I was saying, Trump is a complete idiot, and so are many of the people in his cabinet. Okay? Witkoff, for example. Now, Witkoff is the person who Trump has as his special envoy to the Middle East. This man doesn't have any diplomatic experience whatsoever. And then the other day, this fool misinterpreted a message from Putin. Okay? That could have been very costly. We'll get into that in a second. But let's talk about this. Trump Energy Secretary says, we're going to get blamed for rising power prices, but they're the Democrats' fault. Now they want blaming on the Democrats. Let's talk about it. In an interview with Politico, Chris Wright insisted that the Trump administration's efforts to stifle development of solar and wind power are not causing costs to spike. Okay, saying that basically it's all the Democrats' fault. So Republicans could suffer political pain for the electricity prices that are rising before next year's midterm elections. But he hopes voters will know to blame the Democrats instead. Do y'all hear this? This idiot said blame the Democrats instead. So anyway, it goes on to say the momentum of the Obama-Biden policies, for sure, that destruction is going to continue in the coming years. This is what Wright says. Okay, he was talking to Politico during a visit to wind and corn-rich Iowa. He says, still, that momentum is pushing prices up right now. And who's going to get blamed for it? We're going to get blamed for it because we're in office. It goes on to say electricity prices at the end of July averaged 5.5% higher than a year earlier amid surging power demand. Now, Wright's acknowledgement of the economic reality offered a bit of a contrast to President Donald Trump's relentlessly sunny proclamations that the nation under his watch, about the nation under his watch, from Trump's promises of a new golden age to his predictions that we're going to have the greatest economic boom in history. Wright's words also look ahead to one of the potential sleeper issues of the 2026 election, as the parties seek to own the message about how Trump's efforts to thwart the development of wind and solar power is affecting the electricity customers' wallets. Now, his swing through Iowa last week highlighted the tensions, that the state gets about 60% of its electricity from wind, a higher share than any other state. Now, at the Ames National Laboratory on Thursday, Wright was joined by Iowa Republicans who have urged Trump to take a less harsh approach to curtailing federal tax breaks for wind and solar power. Among them, Senator Joni Ernst and Representative Mariannette Miller Meeks, who represents a critical swing district and chairs the Conservative Climate Caucus. Now, they all showed up. They say the cost of the winds and solar energy have plummeted in the past 2 decades. And last year, they accounted for 93% of the new electricity added to the U.S. power grid. This is all according to the American Clean Power Association, an industry trade group. But Wright made the argument for the Trump administration to pour its support into coal, natural gas, and nuclear power after 4 years of former President Joe Biden putting hundreds of billions of dollars into renewable energy. Now, the Trump administration is swimming 7 days a week to try to offset that negative momentum and try to bring electricity prices down, according to Wright. Thursday, during an interview at the Des Moines airport, he said, "But you can't turn on a dime, okay?" They say Democrats are scoffing at the GOP attempt to blame shift. Isn't that what Trump's always doing? They say there is an affordability crisis in electricity that is well on its way. And just with the decisions that they've already made, it's probably baked in for the next several years. Now, that's what New Mexico Senator Martin Henrich, the top Democrat on the Energy and Natural Resources Committee, told Politico before leaving for the August recess, said it's only going to get more acute as we get closer to next year's elections. The Republicans own that. So in Iowa, Wright touted the importance of the Ames Lab's critical materials research to help reduce dependence on Chinese supply chains. The trip was part of his goal of visiting all 17 of the Energy Department's national laboratories this year. Now, his visit also came just before the Treasury Department on Friday released new policy guidance that will make it even harder for wind and solar projects to use tax credits that Republicans phased out as part of their recently passed budget law. Though the changes did not go as far as some in the clean energy industry had feared. Democrats say that Trump's policies could cause prices to rise by taking inexpensive clean power sources off the grid while pulling the rug out from under companies' plans to use the Biden-era incentives from the Inflation Reduction Act. Now, some power industry leaders have also cautioned that aggressive efforts to restrict development of wind and solar energy could raise electricity prices at a time when demand is soaring. Ooh, honey, this is a whole lot. I'm not going to read all of it, but at the end of the day, honey, this is absolutely their fault. Okay, they're sitting here trying to blame it on everybody else. Trying to blame it on Obama and Biden. I'm sorry, Trump. This is your mess right here. Okay, this is your mess right here. So Reggie says, "So glad I finally caught my solar generator that operates on panels." Yeah, those are very good to have. They absolutely are. Now, go to what the French president Emmanuel Macron, what he said about Trump's comments about Ukraine and the deal from Putin. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen. Likes up. Everyone, please like and share. Thank you in advance.
Welker just sat down exclusively with French President Emmanuel Macron just moments ago following those lengthy peace talks at the White House today. She pressed him on that hot mic moment with President Trump that we saw earlier and whether a ceasefire needs to be reached to hold the trilateral meeting and the role French and American troops could play in the effort to maintain peace. Take a listen.
President Trump was overheard on a microphone talking to you, and he said, quote, "I think he wants to make a deal," meaning Putin. "I think he wants to make a deal for me." You understand that? As crazy as it sounds. What went through your head when he said that to you?
I think if at the end of the day, if we have a deal which is compliant with this long-standing and robust peace, this is a great news. And your president indeed is very confident about the capacity he has to get this deal done, which is a good news for all of us and can break this, I would say, this daily killings, which are the responsibility of the Russian aggressor. So I think it's a great news. My point, and this is why we've worked so hard during the past few months, and we need this convergence, is to be sure that this deal is not detrimental to Ukraine and Europe. And all of us, we want a deal and we want a peace deal. But we want to make sure that this peace, and so this deal, will be something which will allow the Ukrainians to recover the country and live in peace, to be sure the day after this peace deal that they will have sufficient deterrence power not to be attacked again, and to be sure for the Europeans that they will live in peace and security. So this is the nature of the peace, which will be now the core of our work. But I think this is a great news, and indeed your president is very confident about his capacity to get this deal done with President Putin, and it's great.
Let's talk about the issues. You were very firm. You still think a ceasefire is necessary. President Trump, on his way to Alaska, said that he wanted there to be a ceasefire agreement. Otherwise, he said there would be very severe consequences. Do you think a ceasefire is still possible?
I do hope. Let's call it once again truce or ceasefire, but we have to stop the killings. First, for humanitarian reasons. Second, because if we want sincere, reasonable, comprehensive talks in order to build a peace, you cannot do organize this discussion, in the middle of the bombs. Look, today we were with President Zelensky. President Trump called President Putin at the end of our meeting, and we meet again right after this call. In the meantime, the Russian army organized a series of strikes on civilians in Ukraine. So it's impossible for an Ukrainian president and Ukrainian officials to have talks about peace as their country is being destroyed and as their civilians are being killed.
Let me ask you about the discussion over security guarantees.
Yes.
What exactly did you agree to as it relates to security guarantees? Does that mean European troops? And does that mean U.S. troops?
Look, I think for me, it's a very important progress of the past few days that your president expressed the clear commitment of the U.S. to be part of the security guarantees. It's brand new. And last February, when I took the responsibility to gather a series of European leaders with President Zelensky in Paris, and we followed up in London, and we created this coalition of the willing. And it was a reaction to the feeling we had that we could see a temptation to go to a rapid peace, but without any guarantee for Ukraine. And we know what it means. It was Georgia 2008, but it was as well Crimea 2014. And there is full certainty that if you make any peace deal without security guarantee, Russia will never respect its words, will never comply with its own commitments. So it's for us totally critical, and this is an essential part of any deal for Ukraine and for the Europeans. This is for our own security. So this is a very important progress of the past few days that the US now is willing to be part of this.
Kristen Welker joins us now live. Kristen, that was just a portion of that interview. You also spoke to President Macron about how optimistic he feels about a deal.
Tom, I did, and it was a really notable answer. President Macron saying that he is skeptical that President Putin actually wants peace. It was a very somber moment in the interview, and he said the process itself is important. It's significant that we move forward with this process. But you could hear his frustration in the fact that he hasn't agreed to a ceasefire deal, in the fact that the bombs are still dropping. And he also made the point that President Putin has not been able to actually claim a significant portion of land in recent months. And so he doesn't have the right to ask to keep all of the land that he's illegally claimed and even more than that. He said, I don't think there should be swapping of land. He also said that this is not just about Ukraine's security, Tom. He said this is about the security of all of Europe. And he called it a credibility issue for the United States. And this was a significant takeaway from his interview, Tom. He said, look, if it doesn't appear as though there is being progress made in these upcoming talks between President Zelensky and President Putin, and then, of course, the trilateral that's expected to happen after that, he says President Trump should move to impose sanctions and tariffs and really lower the hammer on President Putin. It was a very powerful message from the French president, who also reaffirmed their commitment to the security of Ukraine and that security agreement that you heard him there talk about without giving all of the details away. It's clear some of those details are still very much coming together. But for the French president, this is a matter of Ukraine's security and the security of everyone on the European continent, Tom.
We thank you for watching. And remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app.
Okay, so with that all been said, let's talk about Witkoff and this blunder. Questions swirl about whether Trump's special envoy, Steve Witkoff, misunderstood Putin's offer on Ukraine. So some European leaders are claiming that President Trump's special envoy, Steve Witkoff, may have misinterpreted Russian stronghold or strongman Vladimir Putin's exact conditions for bringing about an end to the country's bloody war on Ukraine. So Witkoff met with Putin for about 3 hours in the Kremlin last Wednesday, and their discussion set off a chain of events that ultimately led to President Trump announcing a one-on-one with the Russian leader in Alaska this coming Friday. But privately, some European allies are complaining that they received varying accounts of what led to the supposed breakthrough with Putin that caused Trump to tout progress had been made. Now, after Witkoff's lengthy meeting with Putin, Trump held a call with his European counterparts to brief them on what the Russian leader told his envoy. Trump initially implied that Russia was willing to potentially pull its forces out of Zaporizhzhia and Kherson in exchange for complete control of Donetsk. So those are territories in the southeast of Ukraine. Now, since the war broke out, Russia has been keen on taking control over 4 territories that it has deemed oblast. Okay, those are Donetsk, Luhansk, Zaporizhzhia, and Kherson. That's in addition to the annexation of Crimea in 2014. But Witkoff later made a different claim to the Europeans last Thursday that Putin offered to freeze and withdraw from the front line. Hold on. Said he decided to he offered to freeze and withdraw from the front line. But last Friday, Witkoff clarified to his counterparts that what Putin actually offered was for Ukraine to pull out of Donetsk in exchange for a ceasefire. Okay, this man doesn't even know what he's talking about. I want y'all to pay attention because he really clearly misinterpreted the message. Okay, and that could have been big trouble for Trump. Like I said, these people are a bunch of bumbling idiots. He's sitting there acting as though Putin's going to give in, but Putin's telling him, listen, if they want a ceasefire, then they might as well go ahead and pull out of Donetsk. Okay, that's the only way they're going to get it. Okay, so anyway, several European officials are speculating that Witkoff also may have misunderstood or even talked past Putin on other key details of what was actually proposed. So they're saying he didn't only misinterpret what Putin was saying this time, he's likely done it before. Okay. And see, this is what happens when you get incompetent people put in positions of power or put in positions that they're not even educated, or have no expertise or no experience in having. This man has no diplomatic experience whatsoever. And they wonder why he's misinterpreting things. So anyway, goes on to say some believe that Putin called for a peaceful withdrawal from Kherson and Zaporizhia in eastern Ukraine, and that Witkoff misunderstood that to mean pulling Russian troops out of there. This is how you know he's stupid as hell. Because for one, even if you didn't understand what the hell Putin was saying, you should definitely know that what he isn't saying ever is that he's going to pull out. Okay? I want y'all to pay attention. This is absolutely nefarious. Absolutely cannot with this administration. Vince I am said he sounds like another wig. Reggie said this could be potentially be disastrous for Trump. Exactly. Okay. Now, Norman says Trump's meritless administration is highly incompetent compared to Russia's. Facts. I mean, I can't believe it. Okay. If they're just going to be handing out positions to all willy-nilly, they should have made me, give me a big position. Don't you think? I am so done. All right. They should have sent me over there. Okay. I've come back and told them exactly what Putin said and how he said it. And so anyway, it goes on to say, however, they believe that Putin actually meant for Ukrainian forces to be withdrawn from those two territories that Russia has attempted to annex during the war. First, that's what he meant. That's what Putin meant, right? Do you really think Putin said, yeah, go back and tell them that we're going to pull out? No. He said, go over there and tell them that we want Donsk or else there's no ceasefire. And while you're at it, tell them they need to back the hell up if they know what's really going down. All right, that's what he said. Please pay attention. So anyway, Witkoff doesn't know what he's talking about. That's what the Ukrainian government official said. And he was venting. He said he doesn't know what he's talking about. And then, like President Trump, Steve Witkoff left behind a massive business enterprise to serve his country, and he is doing an incredible job advancing peace around the world. That's what the White House spokesperson Anna Kelly said, okay, trying to defend him, and said that it was fake news. Are you kidding me? Do y'all hear this? Hold on, let me read it again because I know she can't be serious right about now. She said, like President Trump, Steve Witkoff left behind a massive business enterprise to serve his country, and he's done an incredible job advancing peace around the world. And then went on to say that it was fake news, what they were saying about Witkoff. Sadly, it isn't fake news. It's reality. Okay, they're going to get this whole country effed up. Please pay attention, and that's not going to be a laughing matter, mind you. So anyway, over 70 Americans detained abroad have returned home as a direct result of Mr. Witkoff's efforts. And the president has full confidence in Mr. Witkoff's ability to advocate for America First foreign policy, she said. The Post also reached out to Witkoff, to a Witkoff spokesperson for comment. They say Witkoff is a real estate buddy of Trump's. See, let me tell y'all something. Let me tell y'all something here. Y'all know what's going on here. Y'all know what's going on here, right? This idiot named Trump has hired people that are just his friends. They have no expertise, no education, okay, in the fields that they've been sent to. They don't know what in the hell they're doing, okay? Now, she thinks this makes it better for her to sit there and say that he's Trump's real estate buddy. Yeah, he is. And he has no foreign policy experience. Okay, marinate on that, beloveds. But he wants to talk about Obama and Biden. That's the funny thing. That's the kicker to it all. He thinks they're so stupid and incompetent, but it's really him. He's hiring people who have no experience in any of these things, specifically when it comes to foreign policy. You have to have people who absolutely know what they're doing. You could call an all-out war. I mean, you could just lose allies and everything. And mind you, speaking of losing allies, I hear that we've lost one of our biggest allies, and that would be India, because Trump sat there and lied. Let me see, because I wrote it all down. I was taking notes. Okay, so basically, Trump told a lie. as usual, right? He told a lie and said that he had brokered peace between India and Pakistan. And India said it's all lies and BS, okay? All lies and freaking BS. Didn't do a darn thing. This is all catastrophic as far as I'm concerned. So anyway, basically, she goes on to say the president has full confidence in Mr. Witkoff's ability to advocate for America's first foreign policy. Okay, but like I said, the spokesperson for Witkoff had no comment, and I can't blame them. Now, he's basically just one of Trump's buddies. He has no idea about foreign policy or becoming a special envoy, so why did they give it to him? And matter of fact, this is a person who juggles responsibilities by just trying to, broker peace between Ukraine or in Ukraine and the Gaza Strip to no avail, mind you. So anyway, goes on to say Ukraine still controls the capitals of Kherson and Zaporizhia through Russia, although Russia has a vast swath of those territories in its possession. Russia also has full control over Luhansk and most of Donetsk. Now, they say any decisions made against us, any decisions made without Ukraine are the same time decisions against peace. This is what Zelensky said when he warned on social media last week about the confusion. Zelensky has also poured cold water on the idea of Ukraine ceding territory to Russia. Still, Putin's overtures to Witkoff appear to have brought some time. Now, Trump had given Putin a deadline of last Friday to take steps toward peace with Ukraine or else face secondary sanctions or tariffs, penalties on countries that import oil from Moscow. But some analysts believe that the penalties Trump dangled in his ultimatum could be catastrophic for Russia's economy. And so throughout the 2.5-year-long war, Russia has withstood a spate of crippling Western sanctions, in part by continuing exports to China, India, Turkey, and other countries. Now, in June, Russia's economy minister warned that the country is on the brink of a recession, and Putin announced plans to trim the military budget despite the ongoing war. Now Trump is set to meet with Putin in Alaska on Friday, marking the first time the Russian leader has set foot on U.S. soil in a decade. The White House is also pushing for Putin and Zelensky to meet. Witkoff has traveled to Moscow at least 5 times this year. During his meetings with Putin, the Russian leaders took steps to charm him, including by offering him a painting of Trump and recounting how he supposedly went to church to pray after the July 13th Butler, Pennsylvania assassination. Do you all hear this? I say, what now? Hold on. Let me see this again. So they say that while Witkoff's been traveling to Moscow at least 5 times this year, mind you, during his meetings with Putin, they said Putin took steps to charm him by offering him a painting of Trump and recounted how supposedly he went to church to pray after the attempted assassination on Trump, July the 13th. God, I cannot. Putin is clearly Putin is clearly running game on them. Men sent a picture of Trump in a dress. We got Reggie said better chance of building a Trump tower on the moon before Putin sits with Zelensky. My goodness, I absolutely cannot. During his last trip, Putin gifted Witkoff with an Order of Lenin award for Julian Galina, a CIA official whose son was killed fighting for Russia in its war against Ukraine. I am so through. Not Putin out here giving out gifts, trying to get in good. I absolutely cannot. Okay, now listen. Number X said Putin's doing to Trump what Clinton did to Russia's drunk president in the 1990s, Yeltsin. Okay, exactly. I am through. Vince I am says Putin should give Trump the hidden paintings of Black Jesus as well. Yeah, he needs them. He really needs them. Okay. Easy said that wasn't an assassination attempt. That was a skit. I am so done with all of you. Okay. Now let's go to what the president of Finland said. This is all crazy.
Next to Zelensky across from Trump, Finland, a crucial country for NATO and Europe, sharing an 830-mile border with Russia. In fact, it is the longest European border with Russia, and Finland is part of NATO. So, as we made the point before, it's not about NATO, even though Putin may say sometimes that it is. President Stube, I appreciate your time. I'm so glad to talk to you again. I know it has been a long day, and you had to be flexible and go with the flow. Some things happened, unexpected timing, and you know, which speaks to the moment that we're in, the uncertainty. So at one point in this meeting, you're in the room across from Trump. You're sitting next to President Zelensky. And Trump at one point calls Putin in a call that Russia now says was 40 minutes long. I'm so curious, Mr. President, was there any conversation in the room about that call? Did Trump talk to you beforehand about it or after he got off the phone with Putin?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, this was very much a day of Team Europe and Team US together supporting Ukraine. So first, us Europeans, we had a pre-meeting, and then after that, Zelensky had a bilateral meeting with President Trump. And then we spent the better part of 4 hours together with President Trump sussing out what we can do next. And one of the plans was for President Trump to tell President Putin basically what we had decided in the meeting. So yes, it was very coordinated and very constructive.
So you're saying that call, when the meeting sort of got paused, it sounds like what you're saying is because of the conversation that you're having in the room, that you all sort of said, okay, he said, all right, well, I mean, I don't want to put words in his mouth, but I'm going to go call him now. You guys were all in agreement with it. This is sort of how it sort of organically played out.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, so basically there were three outcomes of today. The first one was a good conversation on security guarantees. In other words, security guarantees by Europe and coordinated with the United States for Ukraine. And we start that work on concrete things immediately. The second one was a suggestion of a bilateral meeting between Zelensky and Putin. And that was what President Trump was testing with President Putin, and President Putin had agreed to do that meeting. And then the third step is after the bilateral meeting, if everything goes well, which is of course always a big if when you're dealing with Putin, there'll be a trilateral meeting. So I think this was one of these meetings where we kind of took, 3 steps forward rather than any backwards.
Do you know what Trump, said to Putin on the phone? I mean, what were the specifics that he put out there?
Well, I mean, President Trump then, after the call, we agreed to meet in the Oval Office, and we had a very thorough briefing by him of the conversation. But obviously, in diplomacy, what happens in the Oval Office stays in the Oval Office when the media is not in there.
Well, that isn't always true, but I appreciate that you are taking the high road and doing the right thing. I don't mean to laugh about it, but in this context, you're talking about he gets on the phone with Putin, then you all go into the Oval Office. There was a moment where I believe Trump was talking to your colleague, Keir Starmer, and he said something that was caught on a hot mic. He was talking about Putin. Let me play it for you, Mr. President.
I think he wants to make a deal for me. Do you understand? As crazy as it sounds.
So you have told, I know in the past, Mr. President, Trump, that no one can trust Putin, right? You have the longest land border in Europe with Russia. And you have a lot of troops that are on that border, as you've told me. And that's because of Russia, right? To state the obvious. What is your response when Trump says something, even at this point, that he believes that Putin will make a deal for him because of him?
Well, I mean, I've been involved in peace mediation before, And I think that President Trump is genuinely trying to bring this war to an end. And we're all working in that direction. But of course, you know, we are dealing with President Putin, and we do have to understand that his, you know, basic strategic aims have not changed, and they are threefold. He wants to see Russia as a superpower. He wants to split the West, and he wants to deny the sovereignty of Ukraine. So that's the reality that we're dealing with. The reality is also that we have, you know, a minimum of 1,000 people dead or wounded every day. So we're trying to do our best through diplomatic means to find a solution to this conflict, to Russia's war of aggression.
And when you talk about Russia's war of aggression and the history here of what Putin wants, it's personal to you. And not just because you happen to be the president of Finland and you've got the largest land border, all those things that I keep repeating. I mean, it's personal to you. Your father, your grandfather were both born in cities that Finland was forced to cede to the then Soviet Union. Cities that are part of Russia now. So, I mean, do you have any doubts about Putin's ambitions when it comes to expanding Russian territory?
Well, I mean, we've seen that in both Georgia and in Ukraine. But, you know, I keep on stressing the basics of it. So statehood is based on independence, sovereignty, and territorial integrity. And after World War II, which for us was the Winter War and the War of Continuation, Finland retained independence, unlike, for instance, our Baltic friends, unfortunately. But we lost sovereignty to decide, and we lost territory. But the difference there is that at that time, Finland was alone. But now Ukraine is not alone. And that's why I think it's so important that all of us, both Team Europe and Team US, keep on working for the independence, for the sovereignty, and the territorial integrity of Ukraine. And to be honest, I think if we work on the security guarantees, that will guarantee sovereignty and it will strengthen territorial integrity as well.
President Stubb, I appreciate.
I find it all so interesting, don't y'all? I find it also interesting. So, with that all being said, why are y'all clowning that man? And then Vince I Am is clowning me, talking about his Putin trolling, taking trolling notes from Queen's ex 50. I have questions. Yeah, and Easy and DJ Big Six talking about Queen admires Putin. Queen has Russian roots. Y'all can clown me all you want. I do like Putin. I absolutely do. I admire Putin because Putin is a boss. Okay? Putin is gangster. Now, Trump's sitting here trying to bully us. He's trying to act like he's a mob boss with the United States trying to bully us. Meanwhile, Putin's bullying him. So, yeah, absolutely, I have no respect for Trump. He needs to sit down somewhere. And, yeah, Putin wants all the smoke. They're all scared of Putin as far as I'm concerned, okay? That's why they try to gang up on him with all the little talking points. Please pay attention. Now listen to this, because this is what I was telling you guys about when Trump's dumb arse was sitting there talking about they have to fight. Reggie said Putin has KGB ways. Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay? Patrick Shark said, preach, Queen. Putin ain't having it. Absolutely none of it, okay? Please pay attention.
There was no ceasefire on Friday, but Donald Trump still said that he was happy after his meeting with Vladimir Putin during World War II with the White House press corps, and not before his meeting on Friday in Alaska with Vladimir Putin, which accomplished nothing other than distracting news media attention from Donald Trump's relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. Donald Trump said this.
I want to see a ceasefire rapidly. I don't know if it's going to be today, but I'm not going to be happy if it's not today.
There was no ceasefire on Friday, but Donald Trump still said that he was happy after his meeting with Vladimir Putin, which was widely declared a failure, even in some Trump-supporting media. And 72 hours after saying, I want to see a ceasefire rapidly. I don't know if it's going to be today, but I'm not going to be happy if it's not today. Donald Trump said this today.
I don't think you need a ceasefire. I like the concept of a ceasefire for one reason, because you'd stop killing people immediately. as opposed to in 2 weeks or 1 week or whatever it takes. But we can work a deal where we're working on a peace deal while they're fighting. They have to fight. I wish they could stop. I'd like them to stop. But strategically, that could be a disadvantage for one side or the other.
They have to fight. There's Donald Trump saying they have to fight. Donald Trump, who has given up even trying to get a ceasefire, after trying for less than a day to get a ceasefire, now says they have to fight. No, they don't. They were not fighting until Vladimir Putin invaded Ukraine, thereby winning Vladimir Putin the legal status of war criminal, a status that Vladimir Putin reestablishes every day. Vladimir Putin kills children deliberately. Vladimir Putin targets residential buildings knowing that children are sleeping there, that grandmothers are sleeping there, that non-combatant people of all kinds are sleeping in the
always trying to demonize Putin, but like I said, yeah, he does sound like a whole idiot, Reggie. They're always trying to demonize Putin, but like I said, where's all that same energy and effort for Benjamin Netanyahu? Okay, where is all that smoke for him? No, they don't have anything to say. Okay, let's talk about the Gaza Strip. All right, so anyway, honey, they can sit down somewhere as far as I'm concerned. I rock with Putin, period. Okay, now listen to this.
Alaska on Friday, President Trump declared that if he did.
Now, she's going to go in on Witkoff's stupid self, okay? Yeah, exactly, Reggie. That's exactly what we do over here, too. Exactly, okay? And then D. Major Skellin said Putin is committing war crimes, just like Netanyahu. Exactly, and that's my thing. If he's committing war crimes, they're going in on him. How come they're not going in on Netanyahu, okay? Because we all know the reason. We all know the reason. Selective outrage. They convinced me with it. Okay? They convinced me with it. Now watch her go in on Witkoff.
Not secure a ceasefire in his talks with Vladimir Putin in Alaska. He was, quote, not going to be happy. Trump said that there would be, quote, severe consequences if a ceasefire was not agreed to. Hours later, Trump got back on Air Force One after the meeting with no ceasefire, but also no consequences. Not only no severe consequences.
Yeah, Trump's taking a walk of shame. Y'all hear that? Talking big and tough until he met Putin face to face, and Putin told him what time it was, and then Trump had to go on back with his tail between his legs as per usual. Okay, I'm telling y'all, Trump is being played like a fiddle. Okay, Putin is straight up playing him, and Zelensky is a fool if he's trusting Trump. All right, because all Trump is doing is misleading this man.
Consequences, but no consequences for Putin of any kind. Trump stumbled into that Alaska meeting on a wave of chaos and incompetence. A week and a half before the Anchorage meeting, Trump's real estate friend, termed special envoy Steve Witkoff, met with Putin yet again. For what is this, like the fifth time? After Witkoff's big happy meeting with Putin, Trump posted that it had been, quote, highly productive and great progress had been made. Trump then called Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky and other European leaders with the good news out of Steve Witkoff's meeting. Apparently, Witkoff reported back that Putin was willing to withdraw his troops from some of Ukraine. Wow. Are you sure, Steve? Did you definitely get that exactly right? Did you get it in writing? Did you get it in English? According to the German tabloid Bild, Steve Witkoff, however he got that information, he got it backwards. He, quote, misinterpreted. Putin was not offering to withdraw Russia's troops from Ukraine. He was demanding that Ukraine withdraw their troops from their own country and give it to him. Witkoff reversed himself in his explanation in a call with European officials the next day. He finally.
Did y'all hear that? Did y'all hear that? That is hilarious to me. Okay, that's why I'm sitting up here laughing. This man is so stupid. Sitting up here talking about Putin's going to withdraw his troops. But no, instead he said they better withdraw their damn troops and give the land to me. Okay? I'm so done.
Cleared it up, I think, on yet another call the day after that. Oops. Why does Steve Witkoff meet with Putin all the time again? What are those conversations for? The chaos continued at the Alaska summit On Saturday, NPR reported that some random person found these documents sitting on a public printer at a hotel in Anchorage. These are apparently made by U.S. diplomatic staff. They include the exact movements of multiple officials, including the president, non-public information, the phone numbers of government employees, lots of plans for the luncheon to be held in honor of His Excellency Vladimir Putin. To give you a sense.
Hold on. Easy said you cannot compare Yahoo with Putin. Yahoo is doing what was done to his people. I'm sorry, say what? It wasn't done to his people by the Palestinians. That's not who it was done by, okay? So he commits me with it.
Sense of how Russia felt about how well the Alaska summit went for them. The Russian state media outlet RT released this video today, purportedly showing an armored vehicle driven by Russian troops flying two flags, one Russian, one American. As in, Russia is now making war against Ukraine using the power of the United States of America. Russian state media has been gloating about the Alaska meeting ever since it was announced, particularly about Trump greeting Putin at the airport in Alaska with a literal red carpet. Today in Washington, D.C., Trump met with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky and a host of European leaders at the White House. And while Trump in Alaska gave Putin like weird little claps of excitement as Putin walked toward him, and he gave him a big handshake and a big personal greeting in Alaska. Today at the White House, Trump sent a White House staff member. He sent a White House protocol chief outside to greet the European leaders who traveled in support of Zelensky.
Did y'all see that? Trump went and met Putin on the red carpet, honey, and then sent his assistants to go meet the European leaders. Trump is a hot mess. Can he kiss Putin's arse any harder? I don't think he could. I don't think he could. Okay? Queen, I'm saying Yahoo is doing what was alleged to be done to his people times 50. Right. But those aren't the people that did it. It's all I'm saying. Ha! That crazy bitch Eric said Trump is so dirty. Yeah, he absolutely is. Okay, he absolutely is. Okay, so now enough with Rachel. I like that tidbit of information. It just confirms what I already said. But let's talk about Pam Bondi for a second and what's going on in Washington, D.C. Because apparently MS-13 gang member was arrested in D.C. as Bondi touts the administration's extraordinary crime crackdown, she says. Well, let's talk about it. An MS-13 gang member previously convicted of driving while intoxicated and rug possession was one of the 52 arrests in Washington, D.C. on Monday night as the Trump administration fires back at critics who've been downplaying their effectiveness. So y'all got one gang member and we're supposed to jump for joy? Okay, I'm going to need them to fall back. They say, at the direction of President Donald Trump, our nation's capital is a safer place, and we are just getting started. 52 arrests were made last night, including an MS-13 gang member, and 9 firearms were taken off the streets. That's what Bondi said in a post on X. Since our mission began, there have been a total of 465 arrests, 68 guns seized, and charges of homicide, narcotics, and firearm offenses. Nearly half of these arrests occurred in the high crime areas of D.C. Residents and tourists alike appreciate this extraordinary effort by our D.C. and federal law enforcement partners. Make D.C. safe again. I want y'all to pay attention. If y'all really think they got 465 legit arrests, think again. Jaywalking shouldn't count, okay? Public intoxication shouldn't count, all right? I'm just saying, because do y'all really think they're cracking down on crime? 465 arrests. Yeah, they may have, but I bet you most of them were bullshit. Okay, so anyway, it goes on to say, now they got some good ones, I'm sure, but at the same time, yeah, minuscule. Other arrests included ones for assault with a deadly weapon, federal parole violation for robbery, murder, a warrant for attempted murder, assaulting a federal law enforcement official, felony assault, and carrying a pistol without a license, according to the White House. 4 homeless encampments were also cleared out on Monday, bringing the total to 48. Oh, wow. So y'all just demonizing the homeless now? We're supposed to be proud of that? A White House official told Fox News on Background that over 450 arrests have been made since Thursday, August the 7th. Out of the 212 non-immigration arrests, 101 were in the high crime wards 7 and 8. Okay, this is what they say. Now, the Department of Homeland Security released several names of those arrested in recent days exclusively to Fox News. Salvadorian National Christian Salmarian Osorio was previously convicted of assault and a member of MS-13. DHS said that 18th street gang member Josu Garcia Portillo was arrested along with Venezuelan national geyser Fernandez Vasquez, who was convicted of kidnapping. Carlos Fuentes, a Salvadorian national, was also convicted of kidnapping, and Salvadorian national Leonel Bautista Cruz was previously convicted on burglary charges. Salvadorian national Jose Menendez and Guatemalan national Jose Menendez were both convicted of assault. Various other suspects arrested has a range of charges from assault, commercialized sexual offenses, and larceny. The White House said the data counteracted a map tracking troops in the capital city from the Washington Post. They say facts are stubborn things. This is what White House spokesperson Abigail Jackson posted on X Tuesday morning. They say on Friday, Department of Homeland Security Assistant Secretary Tricia McLaughlin said that Immigration and Customs Enforcement is playing a critical role in the federal police takeover of the city. They say under President Trump and Secretary Noem's leadership, ICE law enforcement is being unleashed to keep America safe from dangerous criminals. Now, as the Secretary has announced, ICE and CBP have all been deployed to help clean up the streets of our nation's capital. Our message is clear. Criminal illegal aliens are not welcome in the United States. And amid Trump's crime crackdown in D.C., the Democratic mayor, Muriel Bowser, has been critical of the federalization of the city's police force, saying this is a time where community needs to jump in. We all need to do what we can in our space, in our lane, to protect our city and to protect our autonomy, to protect our home rule, and to get the other side of this guy and make sure we elect a Democratic House so that we can have a backstop to this authoritarian push. That's what she said at the town hall meeting with community leaders. She continued by calling Trump's efforts an intrusion. An intrusion, she says. Now, the National Guard has been deployed throughout the city, but the White House says that they are not currently the ones making arrests. Last week, Bondi issued an order superseding the capital city's sanctuary policies to allow compliance between local police and federal immigration authorities. At my direction, the Metropolitan Police Department will now fully cooperate with federal immigration authorities. That's what Bondi tweeted on Friday, saying President Donald Trump remains in control under the law to determine what is necessary and appropriate. The federal takeover has gotten significant pushback from Democrats, including local leaders who say it's an act of overreach despite D.C.'s unique legal governing status. They say, let's be clear. Armed soldiers should not be policing American citizens or Americans on American soil. Instead of making D.C. more secure, it undermines public safety and endangers our democracy. It's D.C. today, but the same dangerous strategy can be deployed to occupy any American community. This is what D.C. Attorney General Brian Schwab tweeted on Tuesday. And he's absolutely right. Okay, he's absolutely right. Don't think that Trump will stop here, because one thing about Trump and his administration, if you give them an inch, they will absolutely always, unequivocally, take a mile. Okay, please pay attention. So with that all being said, speaking of illegals, let's talk about this. There was a police officer who was a whole illegal immigrant who got caught and busted, and now he has to self-deport. Okay, I want y'all to pay attention. I want y'all to pay attention. Look at this right here. And let's not forget that I just reported to you all just days ago. Okay, you heard it here first, and now everybody's talking about it, about how in Louisville, Kentucky, they were at the DMV giving these illegals licenses for $200 without them taking so much as a driver's test. Okay? I want y'all to think about that. All right, they're getting over. So, and this one right here was a whole police officer, and he's illegal. Now, how did that check out? I have several questions. I have several questions. Okay, so let's talk about it. Here's what they report. Illegal migrant caught working as police officer in Maine agrees to voluntarily self-deport. So a judge on Monday granted the voluntary departure of Jamaican national Jean-Luc Evans, a former reserve police officer with the Old Orchard Beach Police Department. Now, he must pay his own way to leave the United States within a set time under the voluntary departure order. So Evans was required to acknowledge his unlawful presence in the U.S., forego any applications for legal status, and prove he had both the intention and financial ability to deport to secure his voluntary departure. Evans was arrested in Bedford on July the 25th after the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms and Explosives was informed that he had attempted to purchase a gun. So they could catch him when he's trying to purchase a gun, but not when he's filling out an application to be a whole police officer. Make it all make sense. He was being held at the Plymouth County Correctional Facility in Massachusetts, but he was later transferred to the Wyatt Detention Center in Central Falls, Rhode Island. Now, Evans initially entered the U.S. illegally on a week-long visa through Miami International Airport in September of 2023. Although he was scheduled to leave the country on October the 1st of 2023, he failed to do so and ultimately became a police officer in Maine. Pretty slick. Okay, what do y'all think about this, honey? Now, by May, Evans joined the police force as a seasonal officer for the popular tourist town. As part of his hiring process, Evans underwent a background check. How'd they do that? I have questions, as well as physical and medical screenings and law enforcement training. The department also sent his employment documents to the Department of Homeland Security to confirm Evans' eligibility to work in the United States. The DHS stated that Evans had an eligible work permit that was set to expire in March of 2030. They say our department, our community relied on the Department of Homeland Security's E-Verify program to ensure that we were meeting our obligations. This is what Police Chief Elise Chard told Fox News Digital, saying we are distressed and deeply concerned about this apparent error on the part of the federal government. But some of y'all still trust the government. It's all egregious. E-Verify is the online system that allows employers to check if potential employees are eligible to work in the United States. His role as a reserve officer prevented him from taking part or taking department-issued firearms home or carrying his own weapons to the job. Oh, so he wasn't allowed to carry a weapon as a police officer. Okay. Well, no wonder he got caught when he tried to purchase one. Now, Chard clarified that reserve officers are neither permitted to supply their own firearms nor authorized to carry non-issued weapons while on duty. The town is aware of reports that Evans' plans to leave the country are voluntary. They say the town reiterates its ongoing commitment to meeting all state and federal laws regarding employment. They say we will continue to rely on the I-9 employment eligibility verification. This is a form that they have to fill out, and the E-Verify database to confirm eligibility, employment eligibility, that is. So Assistant Secretary of Homeland Security, Tricia McLaughlin, stated that the police department had a reckless reliance on the E-Verify program and should have conducted further research to verify the individual's legal status. They say usage of E-Verify does not absolve employers of their legal duty to verify documentation authenticity, and all employers should take necessary steps to effectively verify legal employment status. No illegal alien should ever be provided a firearm or serve in law enforcement. Not only is it the law, it's also basic common sense. Okay, y'all heard that? However, McLaughlin also stated that E-Verify delivers high accuracy and verifying work authorization by cross-checking employees' documents against government databases to combat rapid document fraud and protecting American workers. So what do y'all think about this? What do y'all think about this? They say, simply stated, had the federal government flagged his information, my town would not have hired Mr. Evans. This is what Chard said. Any insinuation that the town and department were derelict in our efforts to verify Mr. Evans' eligibility to work for the town is false and appears to be an attempt to shift the blame onto a hardworking local law enforcement agency that has clearly done its job. This is all crazy. How are you getting a job in law enforcement when you're breaking the law? I mean, that is actually common sense. Okay. But also, speaking of that, let's talk about this illegal car crash. Because Trump's administration says that security says a truck driver accused of making an illegal U-turn killed 3 people in Florida, and he was in the country illegally. And this further fuels a verbal tussle with California Governor Gavin Newsom's office over immigration. And see, this is why it's a problem. This is why it's a problem for these stupid people down there in Louisville, Kentucky, giving out driver's licenses for $200, okay? And then firing the whistleblower who exposed it all. Okay, that's something we all should be concerned about. Claudette said that was a horrific accident. Yes, of course it was. Okay, Mel said that crash was horrible. Okay, it absolutely was. So anyway, it absolutely was. And this all could have been prevented. Now, they go on to say the U.S. Department of Homeland Security said Monday that a truck driver accused of making an illegal U-turn that killed 3 people in Florida was in the country illegally. Harjinder Singh made the illegal turn last Tuesday from northbound lanes of Florida's Turnpike, about 50 miles north of West Palm Beach. And this is according to the Florida Highway Patrol. A minivan was unable to avoid the truck's trailer, which was blocking the northbound lanes. 2 passengers in the minivan died at the scene, and the driver died at the hospital. This is so sad. Okay, Singh and a passenger in his truck were not even injured. Isn't that something? Not even injured. Now, much of Singh's immigration history was not immediately clear on Monday, including his country of citizenship and whether and when he obtained legal status. Florida authorities said he entered the U.S. illegally from Mexico in 2018. Homeland Security said Singh obtained a commercial driver's license in California, which is one of 19 states, in addition to the District of Columbia, that issues licenses regardless of immigration status. Isn't that something? Now, supporters of such policies say driver's licenses provide a lifeline for people to work, pick up children from school, visit doctors, and travel safely. Listen, travel safely? How are they traveling safely if we don't even know if they can drive good or not? Okay, make it all make sense. Now, Tricia McLaughlin, the spokesperson for Homeland Security, said issuing a commercial license to someone in the country illegally is asinine. And yes, it absolutely is. Okay? It absolutely is. Take it from me, because I told you all before that my uncle was hit by some people that were here illegally, had broken bones and everything, okay, while he was at work. Now, Newsom's press office, which has been in a heated online war of words over congressional redistricting, responded on the X platform that Singh obtained a work permit while Trump was president. McLaughlin disputed that, saying that the government denied him a permit during Trump's first term in September of 2020 and granted him one in June of 2021 under President Joe Biden. Singh is charged with 3 state counts of vehicular homicide and immigration violations. The federal government has asked that he be transferred to U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement custody after his criminal case is complete. Now, the truck was attempting a U-turn in an area marked for official use only, according to the Highway Patrol. Video of the crash was obtained by breaking 911. Singh was not listed at the St. Lucie County Jail. No phone number or address for Singh was listed in public records. Y'all hear this? It's all so crazy. Absolutely crazy. So with that all being said, Easy said they're looking at an accident in Arkansas to see if he was also involved in crossing a bridge that was 67,000 pounds overweight, causing the bridge to collapse. Are you serious? Are you serious? They said that's what he may have been involved in. This is all crazy. Okay, what is going on here? What is going on here? Mel says, ever since 2016, we've been going through so much hardship. All right. Anyway, hold on. I want to show you guys something before I tune out of here. We're almost done, beloveds. We're at the finish line. Okay, I have a couple of videos I want to show you all. Hold on just a second. Look at these thugs here. Hold on, guys. Yeah, this is what I want to show y'all, honey. Okay? These black people in Ohio are handling their business. Okay, they're handling their business. I want y'all to pay attention. Check this out.
Police officers or soldiers.
They're business owners, their fathers, their sons, daughters.
These are civilians, members of the Lincoln Heights Safety and Watch Program. It's a duty. Okay, let's go. The duty, protecting their neighborhood, the majority black village of Lincoln Heights, Ohio. After neo-Nazis held a rally here last month, carrying rifles, waving swastikas, and hurling racial slurs, just moments before children were let out of school. At the time, law enforcement officials said the neo-Nazis did not break any laws, but an investigation by county prosecutors is ongoing. Weeks later, the KKK came with these flyers.
First African-American community above the Mason-Dixon line of staff.
Safety and Watch Group spokesperson Durance Daniels says the police did not do enough, which was more chilling because the town was founded in the 1920s as a safe haven for black residents.
Lincoln Heights is our home. If somebody broke into your home, you call the police, and the police says, you know, if they do it again, we haven't broken any law, so we're just going to allow them to break into your home again. What would you do?
Are you worried at all that having a potentially armed response could just create more friction, create more danger?
I want you all to pay attention to how they always ask black people that when we pick up firearms. Okay, when they have the Klan walking around with guns. Okay, when they have these wanton supremacists walking around with guns, they don't ask them those questions. But as soon as black folk pick up guns to protect and defend ourselves, now they have questions. No, don't ask questions. Don't ask questions now.
I'll answer that by saying I've never felt safer as a black man in my community than I have right now.
The mayor of Evendale, which oversees the police force that responded that day, said in a statement to NBC News, police officers or soldiers.
They're business owners, their fathers, their sons, daughters.
These are civilians, members of the Lincoln Heights Safety and Watch Program. It's a duty. Okay, let's go. The duty, protecting their neighborhood, the majority black village of Lincoln Heights, Ohio.
Now, with that all being said, Reggie says, Queen, when are we getting back on the spiritual channel? And then Aqua Girl Rising has the nerve to say, Queen, what Reggie said. Y'all need to sit down somewhere. Okay, that's what y'all need to do. Y'all trying to gang up on the Queen? I guess I'll go back on their, what's today? I'll go back on their Friday, beloveds, okay? Let me write that down. I'm sorry for neglecting my duties. I'm sorry, you guys. I have other things that I've been doing. So I'll go on there Friday. How about that? Is that good enough for you guys? Sheesh, you all think I work for y'all. D. Major Skelly said Trump wants Smithsonian to deny slavery. Of course he does. Is anybody shocked? Why are y'all laughing? I'm so serious. I am so serious. Thank you, D. Major Skelly, for that insight, beloved, and into the topic and your contribution to the channel. Peace, love, and blessings. Now, this is what I really want y'all to see, honey. This right here ticks me off. See, this is what happens. Mr. Elevation said, we love you, Queen. And I love y'all right back. Now, I want y'all to see this next video because this right here really ticked me off. But this is what happens when you're so racist that you don't even think straight. Okay, I want y'all to pay attention. Yes, he does. Goodness, Ray DeBoe said Trump wants to rewrite history. Yes, and he isn't the only one, sadly. Okay, sadly, he isn't the only one, beloved, but he sure does. And that's why it's imperative for people who look like me to teach your children and grandchildren the truth of our history. Otherwise, these stories will get whitewashed. And who knows, 50 and 60 years from now, they'll be saying that Tupac was white. Okay? I want y'all to pay attention. They'll be saying 100 years from now that we enslaved them in this country and that we are the ones who enacted Jim Crow. All right? You think they won't? Of course they will. That make us be the ones that look nefarious.
Don't belong here. Please, let's not do this.
This is quite literally
proper questions.
Proper. How would you know the proper questions? Are you the bailiff? I'm the bailiff.
Why are you so upset?
Because you're coming into my space trying to tell me how to do my job. And when you come into my space, then I have to do my job. And now you're not only not letting me do my job, but you're telling me how to do my job. It doesn't matter.
I mean, it should matter.
I'm Bailiff Thompson. What does it matter? Bailiff Thompson. What does it matter?
Okay, so what did I do so wrong to you?
You came and sat where you don't belong. This is for defending attorneys and other litigators, prosecuting attorneys or defense attorneys, depending on which way the judge approaches it and who kind of gets here first. But at no point do the defendants or the witnesses or the whatever you're here to defend your homeboys on or whatever, that's not here. You don't sit here. You don't walk up on me, a man of the law, the bailiff, in uniform, and just sit down.
Today?
What?
Everyone or anyone at all explain to you what's going on?
Same as every day.
And who's in the building?
Defendants in the back and litigators at the tables. Why would it? Have you ever seen a movie or a show? Have you ever seen Law and Order? I'm sure you've seen Cops, right? You got family and friends that have been on there.
I'm sure you've seen Cops.
Oh, right, absolutely. I love the hardworking men of the law. Those are some of my favorite humans.
Some of them do a great job.
Most of us do a great job. Sometimes they get caught up dealing with people like you, walking around like you own the place. Sometimes they get caught kind of having to draw a line. Now, don't make me draw a line I don't want to have to draw. You want me to draw a line like they do on Cops? How does that work out for your people?
You see that you're angry?
How does
Notice he said, how does that work out for your people? Let me tell y'all something. I would have made sure he got fired. Okay? I'd have made sure.
that work out for your people? I'm so pissed off that you're in my space.
No, I'm here representing the DA, right? I'm sorry, no one explained that to you, but I'm actually here representing the DA.
You're the litigator.
If you want to explain to him why I just left or why this court case go horribly wrong because of your assumption and your attitude.
No, I'm so sorry.
Right?
I didn't know you're the lawyer.
Do that to him.
I didn't know you're the lawyer.
You just assumed I was someone else.
You seem like a defendant.
Oh, I'm just wearing a button up. I'm just here with this paperwork, and I don't know what you assume. Maybe it's the color of my skin. I don't know. You're telling me to sit back with them?
I'm just saying that's where the defendants would have been. I'm sorry
The
for the
way
miss.
you acted is unbelievable.
Yeah, I'm so sorry.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
I mean, you didn't even ask like a civilized question. I could have told you exactly who I was from the beginning.
You're right. You're right.
What is the problem, dude?
There's no problem, sir.
I don't belong.
Let me tell y'all something, honey. That little fake IRS apology after he realized he was dead wrong would not have had any effect on me. I would have gone in on him for filth. Now, I would have done so professionally without the use of any foul language or curse words, but I would have told him off nonetheless. Okay? And I would have told him if you weren't so obtuse, sir, okay, and so ready to be nefarious, maybe you would have given me a chance to speak and I could have informed you of exactly who I am. But I know who you are. And, sir, you are unemployed. I'm going to see to it. Okay, that's what I would have told him. All right, I would have saw to it that he got fired. Okay, is he serious right now? It's the nerve of it all for me. It's the nerve of it all for me. Now, hold on, guys. Hold on. Now, this video right here, I want you all to see. I want you all to see this video, and then I want to go to a video of Dr. Umar. And then we're out. Black couple creates cursive writing academy to teach kids the art form no longer taught in school.
That letter J was tricky.
Twice a week, Terrell Whittington and his wife, Chelsea, come here to the YWCA Northwest Indiana to teach young students cursive writing.
There's this whole new generation of young people who have
absolutely no idea what Cursive is. And so he said, why don't we reintroduce that and see what we can do in our community?
All right. I like that. I like that. I like that enthusiasm, guys.
A few months ago, they decided to create a curriculum after discussing how many school districts are no longer teaching cursive writing. The YWCA was one of the first organizations that agreed to sponsor Cursive Academy.
I'm so happy about it and pleased because our kids need to be exposed to everything. We do not need to dummy down. We got to level up. So that cursive writing is leveling up.
I knew a little bit, I could read it a little bit, but this really actually taught me how to do cursive. I would say the first day it was a little bit hard learning it, but once you get it, I feel like you kind of just got it,
11-year-old Sanila Shields is already thinking about the long-term implications.
I want to be a publisher or author when I grow up, so I want to write my signature down so they can know it's me.
This course is free for these students because the Y is sponsoring classes for its members.
It's just wonderful to see how my husband came up with an idea and our community has rallied around us to get it done.
Yes. Good job, baby. Good
The
job.
Whittingtons are hoping more corporations and other organizations in Northwest Indiana and Chicago follow suit to help make a difference.
Okay, so I find it all interesting. Now, Goodness Rated Bo said they don't teach script anymore. No, beloved, where have you been? They stopped teaching it years ago, and I have no idea why. Okay, I have no idea why. How are they going to learn to sign their signatures? Okay, this is all so crazy. But thank goodness that they opened up that school. Now, with that all being said, let's see what Dr. Umar. Hold on. I do believe I have this video of Dr. Umar. So here it is right here. Dr. Umar is still at it, honey. He is still at it yet again. I want y'all to pay attention. Okay? I want y'all to pay attention. Pretty Wing said, this is amazing. Everybody got a school except but Dr. Umar. Exactly. But listen to what he's doing now. Here's his latest grift. Okay, here's the latest thing he's up to. I want y'all to pay attention. This man needs to sit down somewhere.
I got a new program coming out for the ladies. It's called Lunch with the Doctor. It's called Lunch with the Doctor. You make a $500 donation to FDMG Academy, ladies. $500 donation to FDMG Academy, and you get a free lunch with Dr. Umar, restaurant of your choice in the state of Wilmington, Delaware. I said we got a new program called Lunch with Dr. Umar. Private lunch. Ladies, you got to donate $500 to the FDMG Academy, and I will take you to lunch, private lunch, any restaurant you want in the state of Delaware. It's called Lunch with the Doctor, and it costs you $500. You don't pay for the lunch. I pay for the lunch. Any restaurant in the state of Delaware. Oh, yes. Brothers, don't hate. We got to stop hating. Brothers, we got to stop hating. Don't hate, my ninja, because if I ask your wife if she want that luncheon, if I ask your wife if she want that luncheon, if I ask your baby mom, do she want that luncheon with the doctor, we know what she gonna say, ninja. Don't test my intellectual gangster. If I roll up on your girlfriend, your live-in prisoner, you call a girlfriend. If I roll up on your live-in prisoner, your romantic prisoner, you call a girlfriend who ain't there because she want to be, she there because she got to be. If I roll up on your romantic prisoner, my brother, if I roll up on your romantic prisoner, you call a girlfriend who living with you because she got to, not because she want to. Do she want that lunch date with the doctor? Do your wifey want that lunch date with the doctor? I think we all know the answer to that. Me and you are not the same. I keep telling you that. Me and you, we not the same. You not 6'3", dark chestnut cocoa brown with the North Philly beard. You ain't Leo King, ninja. You ain't Pan-Africanist #1. Nobody flying you to every continent to hear what you got to say. Only me. Don't make me take my t-shirt off and turn into King Kong right now. Don't make me beat my chest. Don't make me beat my chest. King Kong, stop playing.
Dr. Umar, please stop. At this point, please just give it up. Do y'all hear this, fool? Do y'all hear this? I wouldn't pay $5 for Dr. Umar, let alone $500. Okay, he really is serious. I mean, he's got to be trolling. Like that dude said in the other video, he's got to be trolling. He got to be trolling. This man cannot be serious. This man can literally not be serious. And then talking about the men having these prisoners and like they're not taking care of their women. Well, here's the thing. And then said, we're not the same. You're right. You're not the same. Because real men pay the bills at home and take care of their women. All you ever do, Dr. Umar, is target single mothers specifically and try to get them to pay your bills. Sir, why don't you get a job again? I mean, how do you have a college degree? How do you have a whole college degree, but yet you refuse to work? Make it all make sense. How do you have a whole college degree yet you refuse to get a job and stay gainfully employed? Instead, you prefer to grift your own community? Okay? You prefer to grift your own community. Y'all, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, beloveds, but the conscious movements, it's dead. Okay, it's absolutely dead. It is absolutely dead, and so is Pan-Africanism. Okay, just like Tyreek said, I have to agree. Dr. Umar, please sit down somewhere. Okay, have several seats, in fact. With that all being said, y'all, it's just a sad day. It is just a sad day. Retired federal police bank said they go into a hotel after lunch. I mean, is he serious? $500 for a date with him? For lunch with him? Dr. Umar, sit down somewhere, okay? Okay, Reggie said his pronouns are has and been. Exactly. Okay, exactly. I have to agree. Okay, so anyway, with that all being said, I love you all to life. I hope you all enjoy the rest of this evening. I will see you all in the morning with your morning wake-up call, and we will be back on the spiritual channel on Friday. Okay, so until next time, beloveds, each one teach one. That's how we grow and thrive. Do something productive, constructive, but never destructive. And always remember, beloveds, to keep the Most High first in your lives.
In order for you and me to devise some kind of method or strategy to offset some of the events or a repetition of the events that have taken place here in Los Angeles recently, we have to go to the root. We have to go to the cause. Dealing with the condition itself is not enough.
Dear Mr. Massa, I'm just trying to mind my own business. What's the matter? It's just another day, another black king captured. I'm about to lose my brain, stuck inside this ghetto rapture. I got a lot of smoke. If you want it, you can have it. They want a hat trick, but this is black girl magic. Ain't talking about the kind that'll make you disappear, but I'm talking about the power of the melanin within. Ain't looking for trouble, but I'ma say this one time. I put two dupes up if you try to touch mine. We still want justice for Samir and Trayvon. You say you don't see color, but racism ain't blind. They targeting little kids whose skin look just like mine. So I'm paranoid, it's a war zone outside. And I'm a black queen, so if you ask me to step out of my car, you gon' have to snatch me. Cause I ain't going no damn well. Had to spend my whole life living unfair. Ancestors got my back and they right here. You can never understand, it's a nightmare. Living in my black shoes by the black rules. You can keep your handshake, I don't dap coons. The white man to go nuts if he can't shoot. But you all on his side like a damn fool. Make it make sense.
We are oppressed.
Queen.
We are exploited. We are downtrodden.
Make it make sense.
We are denied not only civil rights, but even human rights.
Ahmadiyyah.
So the only way we're going to get some of this
Ahmadiyyah.
oppression and exploitation
Queen.
away from us or aside from us is come together
Queens.
against the common enemy. Who taught you to hate the texture of your
Ahmadiyyah.
hair? Who taught you to hate the color of your skin?
Ahmadiyyah. Parents, pay attention to the books, the school system, even to your little children. Lies mixed with wisdom. His skin too bright, so he was blind to the prison. My skin just right, so I collide with division. You trying to pray to God, but we tired of religion. No savior saving, we got to save our savings. We used to pay miss, how we gon' make the slave rich? But who's to blame, and tell me why you complaining? We need a team effort just to rule the nation. Like a bad relationship, missing communication. We missing moderation. They're trying to get a poison to my population. No reparations. I'm getting tired of Satan.
We are oppressed.
Queen. I'm getting tired of waiting.
We are downtrodden.
Queen.
We are denied not only civil rights, but even human rights.